wrong even once wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any more of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my
Right, Some hearty apologies about that. We've never had that one before, where our entire internet connection just drops out here in the studio. And Andy, are you okay there, buddy?
I've just about recovered, David, because what a moment that was when it crashed. I mean, heart-stopping moment, absolutely incredible. Wow, yes, but I tell you what, we'll get more racing, so I'm not complaining. It's because the action's been absolutely brilliant so far tonight, and long may it continue. So these things happen, that's part of eSports racing. We've had it with drivers being unable to connect throughout the season for one reason or another, and I think sometimes on the face of it, everyone looks at eSports and goes, right, just connect, turn on, that's me, everything's good to go. We've seen, even at the highest level of professional eSports racing, we've seen steering wheels malfunction midway through races.
Did you see that? Simon Pagenaud in the Le Mans
and Le Mans,
and swapping out the entire rig just to get that back in.
I mean, incredible. I mean, I tell you what, if he's gone to that level of thought to think, right, if something goes wrong, what can I do to resolve that instantly? I mean, it was like a Formula One style pit stop, wasn't it? Just how quickly he moved the kit over. I mean,
he's practiced that one. Thomas O'Connor wants to know: is that the new excuse? Is that excuse from the new book in terms of the internet dropping out? Thomas. So a little bit of backstory. Thomas was actually alongside myself, Stephen McNabb, Keir Riley, and Josh McNabb. Met Josh for the first time last night. We were all at Keir's enjoying Project Cars 3, and I tell you what, that lad is just ridiculously talented, and it's quite annoying actually, because I'm sitting there setting lap times, and he's just within 2 laps beating them, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going home now.
I have to ask you now, you've brought it up, Project Cars 3, what's the verdict?
Excuse me while I choke there. In all honesty, it's actually a really, really good game. It is not Project Cars. It's not Project Cars franchise. If you remember, and this is the thing, is you'll get a lot of fanboys going, "Oh, it's terrible, it's crap, it doesn't have realistic handling." It's fun. If you remember Toka Race Driver and you enjoyed Toka Race Driver, right up your street.
I just wonder. I mean, I'm looking at chat here. Wilson's
Ian
not
Wilson's
so keen on it, shall we say?
The thing is, so my problem is I'm a big fan of. I'm trying to wonder why Thomas Comer's floating in midair there. But my problem is that I've had a lot of close relations with Slightly Mad Studios, so I was working with them to try and get an event organised with my old employer. So I'd spoken to them quite a lot, and I'd seen all the press reports and stuff like that that came out in 2018 about Project Cars 3 when it was announced, and they made it very, very clear that this was not going to be a sim. This was going to be like a successor for NFS Shift. So for me, right then, the writing was on the wall. It's done, and then you get so many people in the last 6 months like absolutely outraged, and I just don't understand it. I really, really don't. The thing is that these companies make games for money. They have to find a target market. They said that Project Cars missed both the arcade market and it missed both the sim market as well. So they needed to make money, and the only way they could do that was going all out into Forza territory. And sales are going to show it. Yes, it's not going to be for the majority of us unwashed sim nerds, but a lot of people are going to drive it, enjoy it, and if it gets more people into enjoying motorsport, so be it. I'm absolutely okay with that.
Yeah, I certainly agree with the last point there about any avenue to bring new people into motorsport is welcomed. I do wonder if they had just called the game something else, they would have saved themselves so much grief. Because when you look at the game in isolation, and I tell you the reason I make that point is, I watched both Jimmy Broadbent and Super GT. I watched both of them review the game, and Jimmy was doing it on live stream, and that way you could just kind of tell he wasn't really feeling it, and then it kind of cut out midway. I think YouTube live stream stuff went wrong in the back end or whatever, and he just kind of cut it at that point. But then see, when you watch Super GT's review of it, he kind of he looks at the game
Yeah.
as it is, treats the game as it is, and he says, look, it's actually quite good fun. Will I be playing it in 6 months' time? Probably not. But if you treat the game for its own merits and judge it on that, then it's enjoyable. Yes, it's not sim, but it's enjoyable. But I just wonder, this game, Project Cars 2, that we're enjoying here right now, has been very successful.
Yeah.
It's not been without its flaws, I have to say, but it has been successful. But it seems to be that the demand within the community is for more sim, but that doesn't mean that it comes at the expense of arcade. I mean, there's still absolutely a place for arcade, but I just wonder if they called it Shift 3 or whatever, it would have got a far better reaction.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. And the thing is that at the end of the day, each of these games is going to find its own little audience anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Hang on. I've just noticed something, Andy. While we were talking, we were completely distracted there. Have a look who's in pole position.
Ooh. Wow, Annie Butterworth a 115.2. And then you've got Kieran Freedy in there with a 115.2 as well. And again, the lap times are tumbled down. And look at the gap, David, between first and second as it stands with a little over 3 minutes left in this session. Wow, I mean, the drivers are just getting quicker and quicker.
Yep, 4 1,000ths of a second. And then you've got just 0.2 of a second to Kenny Brewster, your current championship leader. Wow, I've got to be honest, my head's still trying to get around what I saw in that second race there. It was very, very different. Aidan Wilson says hopefully there's going to be a new Assetto Corsa that comes out and have the same amount of tracks and cars as Project Cars 2. I've got to be honest, I think Assetto Corsa have kind of jumped the ship. They've kind of decided to go down the franchise route. I think they saw the light with Assetto Corsa Competition. They got a lot of money for developing that and the license of keeping it as a GT3 and GT4 simulator. Obviously you've got the British GT as well as part of that, but if you're looking for that sort of stuff, Aidan, I think R Factor 2 is going to be your cup of tea for that sort of stuff, because the content that gets released for that game is second to none. And I've got to be honest, before I went and hung up my sim racing boots and put the old simulator away, R Factor 2 is what got a lot of my time.
I just wondered as well, David, with the community certainly split on Project Cars 3, shall we say, that does open up an opportunity for a couple of other platforms to try and swallow up some of that audience here. And R Factor 2 is a very long-standing franchise. iRacing, of course, is more of a different beast, but we've got Assetto Corsa, we've got Automobilista as well, of course. Again, is a very good game. I just wonder if we will see the community start to move off into a couple of different bubbles now. And of course, let's not forget we've got Gran Turismo 7 coming out as well. That will be a very, very interesting game to see. It's very much a different offering, I think, to the racing community, but that will be an interesting game as well. Look forward to that one coming out. And I'm hoping that it will be this side of the year, but we'll wait and see.
I think what you'll find is that each game has got a particular corner of the market sewn up. So I think Gran Turismo 7, I would say, has the plug-and-play market sewn up. The eSports side of things well and truly sorted out. R Factor 2, arguably some of the best force feedback, physics, and some of the best driving experience on the market. Project Cars 2 is just great fun to play with your friends. iRacing has got the best multiplayer component, hands down. They've all got their pros and they've all got their cons, and it's difficult because I think the one thing that does split up the community is this factionism, this whole my thing is better than your thing and your thing sucks. It's there's a real lack of being able to accept that everyone has different things, and therefore it doesn't mean that yours is not as good or theirs is not as good,
Yeah, definitely. It has.
That's my old age speaking, by the way.
and that's us just talking about the games. We're not talking about the platforms as well. It's that can get quite heated as well, shall we say?
Yeah.
But yeah, here we go. And that looks like qualifying is over Thomas Comer's slightly improved that time, David. There's still not a lot splitting him and Annie Butterworth in second place, of course.
I wonder if
But
we're going to see Kenny Brewster going straight off at turn 1, just straight into Thomas Comer.
Oh, wait.
I don't think we will. But across the line then, Thomas Comer 115.1, Annie Butterworth second place again 115.2, Kieran Preedy 115.2, Kenny Brewster 115.4, and then it is on to Stuart Anderson 116.0, Ryan Smith 116.2, Andrew McIlvride is 116.6, Glenn Alcock 116.7, Andy Sedgley is 118.3, and then it is Dave Noonan 121.4. So fingers crossed, I'm touching the desk here, that we get this race underway, because we're obviously running a little bit late, so we're running about 10 minutes behind. We'll be about 1:15 that we get our first Xbox race on the way. But without further ado, Andy, let's get to the grid then for race number 2. And I'm still just as excited.
Yes, this is going to be... drama's guaranteed in any SMRC eSports event, but I get the sense that this one in particular, because we've had the restart, tensions are going to have been raised even more so.
Yeah.
Thomas Comer is the man on pole position this time round. I'm just looking at the times there. He seems to be making up that advantage at the first sector as well, and I wonder if it's that wide line into red that he's taking as well.
We'll find out in just a second. The lights are on and away we go. Great start for Thomas Comer there, and just to give you an update on what's going to happen here, if for whatever reason there's any sort of connection issue with this and we lose connection to this race before 2 minutes 30 left to go in the race, then the race will be restarted, but at the end of the evening. So once this is done, we'll move on to Xbox regardless, and then if we need to, we'll restart this race. But it's looking good so far, because Thomas Comer in the lead from Annie Butterworth and Kenny Brewster around the outside of Old Hall corner there, and looking very, very comfortable is Annie Butterworth, soaking up all that pressure.
Yeah, definitely a good start from Annie as well, but Kenny Brewster, he's made up one place. He's on the podium as things stand, but again we've got Thomas Comer just building up a gap of over a quarter of a second now between him and Annie Butterworth, and Annie runs wide as they go into Coppice. That gives Kenny Brewster a big advantage, and he says thanks very much, I'll have that, and he moves into second place.
Yeah, handed it on a silver platter, and that leaves Annie Butterworth to deal with Kieran Preedy right now. She dives out defensive, and in fact, side by side, might even get it 3 wide, going in towards the final chicane. It's not going to be, it looks deceiving, but that's also Stuart Anderson. Oh, there's contact! As Annie Butterworth thrown into the wall there. And I think that was Kieran Preedy that was caught up in that one, as well as Dave Noonan. Well, that is, you hate to say it, Andrew McIlvride struggling to get going as well there. And meanwhile, your race leader is desperately holding on to that lead, 1.5 seconds ahead of your championship leader, Kenny Brewster, and Stuart Anderson. He must be getting a bit of a nosebleed, because he's up in 3rd place, and he's been struggling this season. So great to see Stuart Anderson on the podium. Definitely,
and Stuart is a very quick driver as well, of course, but just thinking back to that incident, 3 into a chicane doesn't tend to go, and unfortunately a couple of drivers have found that out the hard way, but 7 and a bit left in this session, so plenty of time to try and make their way back up the order, but a little bit of drama to get this final started is never a bad thing.
Well, that's certainly ratcheted up the tension levels here, and I've got to be honest, Thomas Comer actually starting to break that gap now, starting to extend it over your championship leader, Kenny Brewster.
Yeah, he's made a good start, definitely, Thomas. Again, he's probably been helped by the fact that the cars behind him have started tangling together. Kenny Brewster will be pretty pleased as well. He's managed to keep his nose clean, but Ryan Smith up there into 4th place as well, and Glenn Alcock now into 5th place too. So this presents an interesting challenge in its own right as well, because you've got Glenn Alcock here, who were following in that black and red Ginetta. He finished 5th last time out as well, and could well have been even higher up if it hadn't been for a 2-second penalty. So again, if drivers are maybe pushing the track limits a little bit too much, or coming into contact for whatever reason, those penalties can be the difference between points won and lost.
Yeah, they certainly can. 6.5 minutes left to go in the session. We've already got a whole host of penalties right now. We've got 3 seconds for Stuart Anderson, 3 seconds for Annie Butterworth, and 3 seconds for 1 second for Dave Noonan. And Annie Butterworth getting penalties, although she got punted off into the chicane there. That's a strange one.
Yeah, that's the game algorithm for you, David, isn't it? You know, it's you can be given a penalty or told to slow down, and you think, well, what about, you know, you've got a tiny bit beyond the white line, if that, and you know this game can be quite strict for penalties. We know that it's obviously not too strict as it go into Redgate, because Thomas Coleman, as we keep saying, he's taking full advantage of that extra bit of track there. But again, that's part of sim racing. You know, it's known when to maximise performance, not just out of the car, but when to push that little bit further when you can get away with it around the track.
Yep, that's absolutely spot on there. Let's have a look. Stuart Anderson still in third place, just 1.2 seconds ahead of Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith really could push on, but he's going to automatically take that place because Stuart Anderson has that significant time penalty, so that's going to put him down to around about 5th place. I'll tell you what, Glenn Alcock is in contention for podium tonight.
He absolutely is. Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing there, because Ryan Smith is going to be looking in his rear view mirrors here. He's got Glenn Alcock chasing him down. Both of them have got a great chance of getting a podium place here, so keep an eye on those two with a little over 5 minutes left in this race.
5 minutes left to go. Thank goodness, it's looking very, very good. Sean Rennie is asking, do we do F1 stuff as well? If not, do you know of any F1 esports I can get into? Sean, I will find out for you. The main man to ask is our other co-commentator, Tom Davis. He does commentate for some F1 esports leagues. I will find out for you. If you want to, actually, I'll tell you what, if you want to email me, david@camber.media, I'll go and find out some answers for you and find the direction of some esports events for you. There you go. Nice helpful guy that I am. What can I say, Andy?
Yes, it's it's great seeing more people take part in leagues. I think that's been one of the great things that we've seen over sim racing over the last few years. I think the days of jumping into open lobbies and hoping for the best, or perhaps moving on for the more serious drivers that wanting to test themselves against drivers that they can trust and test themselves at a higher competition level as well. So, you know, best of luck. Hope he finds a championship that he can enjoy, and playing any of the F1 games, you've got to be really sharp, because you know those cars are getting quicker and quicker and far more difficult to drive now as well. You know, as you use KERS and DRS and everything else, it's not so much a plug and play platform anymore.
Just watching a side by side then go Ryan Smith, and is that Glenn Alcock that he's fighting with there? No, it's not. It's actually Stuart Anderson that is caught up there. So Ryan Smith makes the move for third place. It's going to be Stuart Anderson trying to take the cut back there, but it's never going to work into Redgate, and then it's in towards Hollywood. And yeah, great move there from Ryan Smith, and taking that third place on the track, but he was going to be given that anyway. Back behind though, Andrew McIlvray coming under real pressure from Annie Butterworth and Kieran Preedy there as well. So Kieran Preedy trying to do a recovery drive here. It's not been the best of nights for him.
No, it hasn't, David. And again, Kieran's a very good driver for the SMRC, and he's got that car into a bit of bother, and he's been collected really. And it's one of those ones where you've got when you're in an incident with 7-8 minutes left in the session, it's very easy to just let the head drop, but there's still points to be won and lost here. This is, it would be easy to just think, well, listen, I'm just going to chuck or whatever. But if you hang in there, we've known throughout this championship that drivers can get tangled in and everything else with a minute or two left in the session, so he could well make his way up the points here. So, you know, it's not over yet for him.
It certainly isn't, and I've got to be honest, I've kept my eye on this gap for second and third place, because it is coming down. Ryan Smith was 0.3 faster than Kenny Brewster, your championship leader there, and the gap is 1.5 seconds. So I don't know if it's going to be enough, but it might be enough to put Kenny Brewster under pressure just now. Maybe just a case of managing the gap right now. Andrew McKinley wants to know, would we do a TC Championship, a Touring Car Championship? It is very, very possible that we might actually end up doing that. I haven't heard anything from SMRC. I've got no doubt with the success of this one, once their season is over, they'll probably want to look in towards doing an autumn championship as well, and potentially it wouldn't be on Project Cars 2, it might be on something else. Of course, there is the iRacing Championship that's currently going on just now. 1 minute left to go in the second race for the PlayStation 4 tonight, Andy, and Thomas Comer really starting to stretch away now. 4 seconds ahead of Kenny Brewster.
Yeah, Thomas has been in a class of his own in this race. He's just managed to build up a really, really good gap between him and Kenny Brewster, and we all know how fast Kenny is, you know, so credit to Thomas for a very, very impressive drive. He's just got to bring that car home now and he'll collect 25 points. But Ryan Smith, I think he's had a very good race. He's there in the final podium place as things stand. Good move there on Stuart Anderson. And I think credit to Stuart as well. I don't think he really fought it too much because he really had that penalty. But this has been a very, very interesting race, and I think one driver who will be happier the most is this man we're riding on board now, is Ryan Smith.
Yeah, certainly will, as we are about to come across the line. So that is going to be the final lap of the race that we're on just now. Thomas Comer in the lead by 3.7 seconds. There's a big battle going on right now that Annie Butterworth is leading right now. That's Kieran Freedy behind her. And so is Andrew McIlvright. So Andrew McIlvright was actually in front, and I'm wondering if there's been a little bit of contact there. But it's all by the by, because for race number 2, Thomas Comer has been absolutely large and in charge, and it's a race win for Thomas Comer across the line. Second place goes to your championship leader, just Kenny Brewster. Ryan Smith in third place. It's going to be Stuart Anderson finishing in 4th place, but I don't think he's going to hold on to it. Indeed, he drops all the way down, and it actually means that Glenn Alcott gets 4th. It's Stuart Anderson in 5th. It's going to be Kieran Preedy in 6th, Andrew McIlvright in 7th, Annie Butterworth dropping down to 8th place there, and I've got a feeling, because she got a whole load of penalties there. Yep, 3 seconds for Annie Butterworth. Andy Sedgley finishes in 9th, and then it is 10th place there for Dave Noonan. So there we go, that is the PlayStation done and dusted. We're going to take a very, very short break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes time when we have qualifying for the Xbox. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
was wrong, even once wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any part of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my
Welcome back then, slightly later than planned. We are off to the races for round 7 of Donington, and this is the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. We move on to the Xbox finals. Two 10-minute races preceded by two 10-minute qualifying sessions, and yeah, lots to play for in this one as well. The big news this week, of course, is that your championship leader Tony Logie is not taking part in this week's final because he wasn't able to make the qualifier with a power cut. So huge news. This tonight though is who we've got taking part. We've got Ian Wilson, John Duncan, John Glover, James Black, Cameron Evans, Angus Scrivener, Josh McNabb, Cormac Patterson, Stephen Bramwell, all taking part. And yeah, I've got to be honest, Andy, I am really intrigued to see how this one looks out.
Definitely, because Tony Logie, he has a 27-point lead at the top of the championship at the moment. But you've got Cameron Evans, big opportunity for him to put a dent in that gap if he gets a good few results here. Of course, the one man who spoke about at the top of the show, of course, Josh McNabb, his pace in the qualifiers was absolutely sensational. So, big opportunity for both drivers to really put some pressure on Tony Logie here. Good to see Aidan Wilson in the finals as well, I think. He's had a tough time in the last few events, so he'll be one to watch as well. Again, a very quick driver, so he'll be keen to make a good impression too. But yeah, this is an interesting championship, I think, because Tony's been very quick throughout, but Cameron and Josh, James Black as well, fourth place at the moment on 124 points. There's a real opportunity for the three of them to exchange positions, shall we say, in the championship standings. So this is going to be a really interesting one to watch.
Yeah, certainly is. So we have got 7.5 minutes of qualifying left to go. Let's take you live trackside to the virtual Donington Park and the familiar sight of these Ginetta GT5 machines. and no times as of yet, but we're going to see Ian Wilson, I would imagine, sitting one of the first times here, going across the line there, 1:15.5. So yeah, I think we'll see 1:14s very, very shortly.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, that's a good banker time to get on the board, David, because it means you can really kick on from here. You've got a decent time up there, and now you press on and look to try and improve that. And you've got Cameron Evans and Cormac Patterson also got times on the board, both in the 1:16s, and that's a 1:17 there for Cormac Patterson. He'll be more than capable of improving on that time, I'm sure. But yeah, 6 and a bit minutes left to go in this one, so plenty of time for the drivers to make their way up the standings here in qualifying.
So obviously, let's go back to the championship standings here. Tony Logie on 183 points ahead of Cameron Evans. Cameron Evans with some real work that he can get done tonight. He can really inflict a lot of pain. But Josh McNabb as well, if he's able to get ahead there, he can put himself up for one heck of a three-way title fight.
Definitely. I mean, the Josh is more than capable of winning both races here, David. You know, his pace during the week, I cannot emphasise it enough, is phenomenal. But we're now in the finals. It's a different kettle of fish. He's got to deliver here now as well. And when you've got the likes of Cameron Evans, James Black as well, both keen to make an impression too. This is where he's going to have to get those qualifying laps out that we saw in. During the week, you have to put them up on the board lap after lap again here.
Certainly is. So 5 minutes left to go, 5.5 minutes left to go, and the times really haven't come down in the way that we saw with the PlayStation. But Josh McNabb there up into second place, 4/10 behind Aidan Wilson, 1:15.995. So again, Josh certainly showing his intent towards the evening there, and you can see the car in some of them very loose on the back end there.
Yeah, they are, David, and it's a couple of corners where there's blind apexes as well, so rather nerve-wracking to say the least. But of course, the drivers have got two setups to choose from. They can go for a stable setup if they prefer, but many drivers seem to be opting for that loose setup, which maybe feels a little bit faster, but it does, of course, the clue's in the name. It means the car can get a little bit more unsettled. And this Donington National Circuit is one of those tracks where it gets off camber in some areas, and you've got to just keep that car under control. And we've seen it from the PlayStations earlier on, where cars have been getting things all wrong and ending up in the tyre barriers. So it's a real test of the ability of the drivers here.
Well, one shot has been fired by Cameron Evans at 1:15.418. So, and then there you go, Josh McNabb up into pole position, 1:15.381. And Andrew Gilman says, Staples for quitters. As you do. Just straight to the point. Andrew Gilman, of course, known for his tact and his delicate poise.
Yes, so eloquently put, certainly. But yeah, this qualifying session is hotting up here again. Not a lot. Split in the first 5, just over half a second, David. So again, This one could go either way. 3 and a bit minutes left on the clock, so chance for the drivers to get a couple of extra laps on the board here as we follow Cameron Evans, currently second place with a 1:15.4, and he's not going to improve on that lap, that's for sure. He's into the barrier and into the pit lane. Yeah,
that's a bit of a strange one there, but wow. Andrew Gilman says he's still hurting from Wednesday. He was rather manhandled in the qualifying sessions, but look, just to go on to Andrew's comment about stables for quitters, it is a thing. The stable is a slower setup. It's a more reliable setup. It's a more stable setup. It's keeps the car feeling within control. However, it's also a lot easier to push the car to its very limits on loose, which makes it easier to push beyond those limits, Andy. So that's why some of the drivers prefer that loose setup.
Yeah, I dare say there is perhaps an element of I'm trying to choose my words here, but I think there's an element of everyone wanting to be on loose as well, and not wanting to be seen to be unstable. But I think, when you're perhaps on a track that you're not so familiar with, fire the stable setup in there, just get a feel for the car, and then build upon that. These Genettas, they may not necessarily be the quickest, but they are still difficult to control. And again, in a track like this, where yes, it's quite a wide circuit, but there's lots of bumps and everything else throughout the lap. So the loose setup certainly prevents lots of challenges.
Yeah, it certainly does. And thank you to Eddie McPhillamy, who pointed out that we were just sitting on the leaderboard screen instead of actually being trackside. Oops! It's been a long week.
I was watching the cars.
Yeah, we're watching the cars and chatting away and completely didn't realise. So yeah, right. Josh McNabb then still in pole position. Cameron Evans, this is going to be his last 2 laps in which he can make a dent into this. Now, Cameron wants to make this happen because if Josh can get the jump on him here, it's going to stop. It's going to take points away from Cameron from the championship hunt. Granted, it's only going to be a couple, but he's not really going to want that, is he?
Well, that couple of points adds up, and he doesn't want to be sitting after the finals at Bathurst thinking, do you know what, if I'd maybe just pushed there a little bit more, that was 4, 8 or maybe more points that have been lost. So yeah, the pressure's definitely on here, but look who's in there in the midst as well. Aidan Wilson currently third in qualifying with 1:15.5, so he's going to be a driver that they're going to have to contend with as well, because Aidan is 8th in the championship at the moment with 75 points, but he's got the pace to potentially win this race.
Yeah, good to see a nice disciplined drive from Cormac Patterson. Cormac was given the instructions from his pit crew, aka Andrew Gilman, that 4th place was minimum that they would accept for the team, and that's exactly what Cormac Patterson has done. Signed, sealed and delivered. 4th place with just 6 seconds left to go. So yeah, really playing the team game is Cormac Patterson. Slight bit of distraction there, because there goes Cameron Evans into pole position. 1:15.303, just 300ths of a second ahead of Josh McNabb.
Excellent, and a really good time there from Cameron, and a crucial one there as well, because it builds on that. It's big for the mental aspect of motorsport. I think if you can just pip your rival by a very, very small margin like that, that can play on the mind of your opponent before the lights go out. So he'll be pleased with that, but of course he'll have to build on it with a very good and clean start.
Great exit from the final chicane for Josh McNabb. It's all about this qualifying time. Can he break into the 1:14 so goes across the line? Yes, he can. Josh McNabb, 1:15.161. It all comes down to Cameron Evans, who's got a tow, comes across the line just now, and Cameron Evans can't improve. So Cameron Evans will start 2nd place alongside Josh McNabb. 3rd place for Aidan Wilson. Cormac Patterson does the team proud there. 4th place. 5th place for John Duncan. 6th place is going to be, let's have a look, 6th place for Stephen Bramwell. James Black in 7th, John Glover in 8th place, and 9th place is going to be Angus Scrivener. Andrew Gilman there, great job. The 3 in front have softs on. John has a hard on behind. Be careful. That's a nice quality team radio message there from Andrew Gilman. Really looking after his driver. That discipline is really strong, and the bond that those two have is really intense. It's quite something, isn't it, Andy?
Yes. Yes, it's good. I honestly, the chat's been brilliant throughout this championship, and long may it continue as the lights get out here for the first event. And great start from Josh McNabb.
Better start though for Cameron Evans on the outside on the run down to Redgate. And look at that, Aidan Wilson has got it in the 3 wide, and Josh is down into 4th place already. What on earth happened there? I think he's thinking discretion's a better part of valour here, and going to see how this race is going to unfold.
Yeah, exactly. He was on the inside line, but you could almost sense the car backing out as he comes under more pressure here as they make their way into the old hairpin. But it's Aidan Wilson, he's having a nibble. He's going up the inside of Cameron Evans. There's a bit of contact But Aidan Wilson, he's not quite managed to make that stick. He has got the inside line though as he going to McLean's, and pure drama here in the opener.
Oh, a little bit of a contact there from Cameron Evans to Aidan Wilson. There's contact again, they're side by side. It's then Josh McNabb on the outside of Aidan Wilson. So it's Aidan Wilson in first place, Josh McNabb in second, Cameron Evans with Cormac Patterson trying to fight it up the inside. He makes it work, and where has he gone? Cameron Evans is out. Spins the car. That is a disaster, and Josh McNabb is laughing himself all the way to the bank right now, because that is a huge dent to the points right now. Cameron Evans and John Glover in a huge tangle there, and that means that Aidan Wilson has also got a time penalty here just now, Andy.
Incredible. What an opening lap this has been, and disaster for Cameron Evans. Second in the championship at the moment, of course, with a gap over Josh McNabb, but this now means that Josh McNabb has got a massive opportunity to really put some pressure on Tony Logie and give himself a little bit of a chance of wrapping up this championship. But wow, really interesting start to this one, and it looks like the drivers aren't done yet. There's still lots of nibbling away at the
jostling.
Yes, jostling, yes.
Talking of Josh McNabb straight back into the lead from Aidan Wilson. I'm thinking that's a slow down penalty, because Aidan Wilson, oh, we've got a car off in the background. That's Stephen Bramwell facing the wrong way, I think it is. Or is that James Black? It is James Black on his controller. He was doing really well, qualified in 7th place, and that's into the wall, facing the wrong way. He managed to get recovered, but it's a recovery job for James Black. Cameron Evans now just behind John Glover, trying to take that 7th place, and it is a recovery drive right now for him. Let's see what he can do on the run down towards the final chicane here. John Glover goes defensive onto the inside, and Cameron Evans outbrakes him. My goodness me, barely any brakes at all into that corner. Fantastic stuff there. But your race leader Josh McNabb, 7/10 of a second. This is the best possible result that Josh could have asked for right now, because Cameron Evans down in 7th place right now, and this is a massive impact onto the championship, Andy.
It definitely is. It's this is where the next 6 and a bit minutes are going to be massive for Cameron Evans. We're going to get a real sense of can he pick himself back up from this. We've got another race, of course, but he's really got to get a move on and make his way up this field. But Josh McNabb, he'll be delighted with that. He's got a gap of a little over a second now from Aidan Wilson. But wow, this has had massive ramifications for the Xbox Championship.
Well, from my reckoning, I'm just trying to work it out here, that takes the gap between Josh McNabb and Cameron Evans. Cameron Evans will still stay in 2nd place, but he'll only be 6 points ahead of Josh McNabb. So Josh McNabb will end up on 159 points, and crucially, that keeps him well and truly in contention for this championship.
Definitely, and I just wonder what Tony Logie makes of all this as well, of course, because he is, of course, top of the standings on 183 points, not able to make this event. And there's a car off there at the chicane, and is that
I think that was Cormac Patterson
and
John Glover there, and that means that Cameron Evans is up to 5th place.
There you are, he's made it up, he's made the gap up, and he's just shipping away, and he's probably been hoping that a couple of cars would tangle, and then again he's made his way up to 5th, so still a decent haul of points there for him as things stand, but again, we know how quick he is. He's got Stephen Bramwell just up the road in 4th at the moment. A little bit of a gap between both of them, but with 5 minutes left in this session, if you would bet against Cameron Evans going and trying to go 4th, or maybe even try and sneak his way into 3rd.
Yeah, podium could be on the cards, given that they are just 4 seconds up the road, and we'll have to see what the pace is like. Cameron Evans released from that traffic of John Glover, and he is into the relatively fresh air just now. Meanwhile, back to your race leader, Josh McNabb is just a way out in another class right now, 1.8 seconds ahead of Aidan Wilson. Now, Aidan Wilson, remember, does have a penalty to serve as well, 1 second time penalty, so that will not affect him too much actually, because he's still, I think, around about 8 seconds ahead of Angus Scrivener in third place there, so it's not too bad just now. However, look at that, Cameron Evans right onto the back of Stephen Bramwell already, and putting him up to fourth place. That means a big deal. That puts it's 11 points that Josh McNabb takes off of Cameron Evans there, and that would bring the gap. I'll have to again work that one out, but only 11 points then between Josh McNabb and Cameron Evans, so it's still very much doable. And what has happened to Aidan Wilson? Dropped 4.5 seconds back behind your race leader now, so he's got a slow down penalty.
Cameron Evans still 5th place then, 1:17.1 last time out, so decent enough lap time on the board as he's now closing the gap between him and Stephen Bramwell as they move onto the Starkey Straight. Again, little over 3 minutes left in this session. The pressure really is on here for Cameron. He's capable of making his way up the pack here, but just a little bit too far behind this time round. It might have to wait a lap or so. And I know Stephen Bramwell, he's got it all wrong in the chicane. Cameron Evans says, thanks very much, that's the easiest overtake I'll make here tonight, and he is now up into 4th place in this race. Yeah, I was just listening to the engine note there, David, as Cameron made his way into the old hairpin there. He was really revving that car. He wasn't shifting up at all there. Very interesting just to hear these just to hear these gear changes going in here as he makes his way into McLean's. Again, you can hear that Janetta screaming in pain. But Cameron, he's certainly closed the gap now between him and Angus Scrivener. Few would bet against him getting the podium here, David.
I'm kind of trying to pause my breath here because this is awesome action that we're seeing on track. Josh McNabb then goes across the line to start his penultimate lap of the race there ahead of Aidan Wilson. But yeah, this is the gap that we're having a look at here. This is the battle that's going to matter. Angus Scrivener and Cameron Evans right now. And yeah, this is... Angus, I don't think, is going to be one for letting cars go past.
Yeah, I was just thinking there, Angus is a very good defensive driver, so Cameron's got his work cut out here.
Well, we know Cameron's not the most patient either. Yes,
absolutely. And with over just about 90 seconds left in this session, this is the pressure's really on Cameron to try and force a move and book his spot in the podium here. But again, he's just gone a little bit wide there, I think, into that corner, and that's given Angus a bit of a margin now, just over a second, splitting the pair as they make their way round Coppice here and onto the back straight. A lap and a bit to go then. Cameron Evans, can he make his way through and into the third and final podium place? He's not going to get a look in this time. He's going to have to try and it'll perhaps be the old hairpin before he can make a move, as we now switch to Josh McNabb for the final time. He's made his way through. It's been a really strong race for him now. A gap of just over 5 seconds between him and Aidan Wilson. Josh has really laid down a marker here, and it's been a really strong drive from him.
Yeah, certainly has. Angus Scrivener now having to do a strong drive of his own, trying to hold on from championship contender Cameron Evans, who is now breathing down his neck with just 30 seconds left to go and just about 8 corners left to go of this iconic Donington Park circuit here. He's doing really well, making that Ginetta as wide as it possibly can be, but Cameron Evans just taking so much more speed into the corner here, and they're side by side, and Cameron Evans almost forced onto the grass there. And Cameron Evans going to have the outside in towards McLean's here. Oh, great defensive drive in there from Angus Scrivener. Absolutely no quarter given whatsoever as they come round towards Coppice. for the final time. We'll very, very briefly stretch away, because have a look at this. It's Josh McNabb for his first win of the evening. It's a dominant win for Josh McNabb there. Second place is going to be to Ian Wilson. Well done to him. And it's going to be Angus Scrivener just holding on by the skin of his teeth from Cameron Evans. Cameron Evans has actually got a time penalty now as well. Cameron Evans has got a 2-second time penalty. That won't affect him, but that secures him down in that 4th place there. It's going to be John Glover in 5th place. 6th place is going to be Stephen Bramwell. John Duncan in 7th. Cormac Patterson in 8th place there. And 9th place for James Black. Wow, 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 Andy.
I just wonder if Cameron Evans got that time penalty around about the old hairpin, David, because he got a cracking run on Angus Scrivener. He just couldn't make it count. Angus defended very, very well, I thought, round Starkey's Bridge. Wonder if he maybe took a little bit too much cub there, perhaps. But, you know, fair play to Cameron. That was a very, very strong recovery drive, because he was down in 8th place at one point in this race.
Yep, we'll take a very quick break and we'll be back with race number 2. Welcome back then to the final race of the evening here for round 7 at Donington Park National. This is the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. I'm Dave Christie, and joining me in the virtual commentary box tonight is the one, the only Andy Alston. Andy, it's been a really enjoyable night tonight, and some cracking races.
definitely, and all builds up to this final one here tonight in the Xbox, and wow, it's been. I think it's been one of those nights where we've seen drivers who we know have the pace. For some reason or another, they've misfortune and calamity has been bestowed upon them, and they've ended up tumbling down the standings. But they've managed to some way or another recover their drive. And Cameron Evans there was a fantastic example of that. I was very, very impressed about how he made his way back up the pack. It would be easy for the head to drop and just feel sorry for himself. But again, when he's in there fighting for a championship, maybe you get an extra 10th or two, and he managed to deliver with a very, very strong result, 4th on the road, and he'll be hoping that he can certainly get himself in podium contention for the final event here tonight.
Yeah, certainly will. So the way that I understand it is that Tony Logie is still on 183 points. Cameron Evans moves up to 170, but Josh McNabb is on 159. So that's that 11 points that I was telling you beforehand. So yeah, that is a huge change and a huge paradigm shift, and ultimately I'm just working this out. If Josh wins this second race, Tony Logie goes from 1st to 3rd. Work that one out.
I think what that says to me, David, is this is going to be one of the defining races in this Xbox Championship.
For sure.
Pressure is absolutely on here. Cameron Evans has laid down a marker with that recovery drive. Josh McNabb has laid down a marker with his outright pace. So what that means is we are all set for a thrilling finale here tonight.
What would happen, let's have a look here, if Josh was to win this race and if Cameron was to finish in 4th again, that would mean it is a dead tie for the championship going into the final round. Could you believe that's actually a possibility?
Yeah, well, do you know, it puts the pressure on the qualifying even more so. Yeah, you know, in the Xbox in particular, we know how difficult it is in some of those seats to qualify, and some of the drivers have made it through quite comfortably so far this season. But that now throws an extra dimension into the mix, you know, and of course we're not even taking into consideration the possibility of any kind of technical issue or some internet connectivity issue that Tony Logie obviously fell victim to. So drivers won't just be practicing their lap times, but they'll also be checking their internet connection, I suspect.
It's the thing is that it's amazing to see the efforts in which the drivers go to just to make sure that it's a level playing field here. And you can see why it's just enjoyable when they really put everything into this championship.
Definitely. I think the Xbox Championship in particular, the racing has got better and better as it's gone on. I think the pace and some of the drivers here has been absolutely fantastic, and it would be nice to see a championship showdown in Bathurst. It would be good to see. It would be good to see the championship championship decided there, and I think Cameron Evans he's got the momentum in terms of the standings in there at the moment, 2nd place. But I think we're riding on board here with this man Josh McNabb. I think sometimes drivers just feel dialed in at a track. You know, some circuits are stronger at than others, and this is one of Josh's better ones, absolutely for sure. He just seems to be time and time again. It's that consistency that he's pumping in for lap time. Normally you can give or take a couple of tenths, but with Josh it's just every lap he's bringing it. It's very, very impressive to watch. Yeah,
it certainly is. So at the moment then, it's Josh McNabb 1:15.118 on pole position from Cameron Evans 1:15.217. John Duncan there with a cracking third place 1:15.499. And this is starting to get very, very tasty indeed. Angus Scrivener currently in 4th place there. We've got Ian Wilson down in 5th. Now, Ian was much better in qualifying last time round, so it'll be interesting to see if he can improve there. He's doing a little bit of weaving to get heat into the tyres. Cormac Patterson down in 6th place. He had a race to forget last time round. Stephen Bramwell will be hoping to do a nice recovery drive in 7th place, and John Glover in 8th with is it James Black in 9th place. So wow, yeah, good stuff, good stuff. So I think without further ado, we've got 2.5 minutes left to go. Let's head over to the virtual track side, and yeah, let's get this going. Who was that just pulling over there to the?
London.
To the
Was that John Glover?
No, because John Glover's making his way. There you go. It was Cormac Patterson.
6th place at the moment, Cormac Patterson. 116.6. Again, look, there's 3 tenths splitting the top 3 drivers and less than a tenth of a second splitting Josh McNabb. And, that's just absolutely phenomenal there. Just how tight this battle really is. I think with what's that, just under a minute and a bit left to go in this session, it's going to be a really, really interesting one just to see how this all pans out.
Yeah, I think Cameron really has got the bit between his teeth. He's potentially got 2 laps left in which he can get pole position from Josh McNabb. Josh looking very fast just now as well. Let's have a look at the overall times just now, because Josh's last lap was a 1:18. Cameron Evans did a 1:29 because that was his out lap. So you just don't know where to look right now, do you?
No, I think thinking back to the qualifying times from the first event there, Josh McNabb seems to really have that car hooked up on the third sector in particular. I noticed that was where he had a little bit of a gap between him and Cameron Evans. I think it was 2 tenths or so, and that was more or less what has been the difference between the two of them. So Cameron knows that's where a little bit of lap time could potentially be found here if he can just squeeze even. Look at that! It's
even tighter.
Jeez, I was going to say even half a tenth of a second. It could be the difference here as things stand. That is incredible, just how close these two drivers are pushing each other.
Yeah, 2/100ths of a second, and it's not over yet because Josh McNabb comes across the line just now. What can he do? Nothing yet. 1:15, 1:18 is still his fastest time. That last lap was a 1:18, and I wonder if Josh's tyres have gone.
They could well have done, yeah, because there's 20 seconds or so left in this session, and the drivers, as they make their way out in their outlap, they do weave very aggressively to get as much temperature as possible into the tyres of this Ginetta car, because that is that seems to make the difference in these cars. If you can get them up to temperature quickly, you can then go and take advantage.
It's not. I've been reliably informed by Stevie McNabb. It was traffic while he was on his lap there. That's what it was. Cameron Evans pulling the car in, and Ian Wilson got current next lap invalidated. As he was away to start with just 1 minute to go, so that completely ruins his qualifying. And there you go, 1:15.081 right at the last gasp for Cameron Evans, and it's going to be now or never for Josh McNabb. What can he do? Because you better believe there's going to be one hell of a fight going into this final race of the evening here, and it's I think that was a little bit of a scrappy exit from the corner from Josh McNabb, but he comes across the line. What does he do? He doesn't improve. So that is a 1:15.839 for Josh McNabb. So the tables have been turned. It's going to be Cameron Evans in pole position alongside Josh McNabb in second place. 11 points separating them in the championship. Ding, ding, ding. Brilliant. Goodness me. Right. John Duncan in third place. It's going to be Angus Scrivener in fourth place. Fifth place is going to go the way of Aidan Wilson. Sixth place for John Glover. Seventh place is going to be Stephen Bramwell. Eighth place is Cormac Patterson, and James Black is at the back of the grid. John Glover wants this to be a 3-minute race. He can only do 3 decent laps before making a hash of it. So, right, Andrew Gilman is giving a team radio message to Cormac. Let the race come to you. There's a new power unit in the car. Right, okay. I love to think that they're actually taking this one step further on Discord and they're giving each other radio messages. That would be awesome.
Yeah, fair play to them. Brilliant.
Dear. Right, the cars are on the grid then. We are waiting and standing by for our final race of the evening. Ian Wilson is saying he's got a game glitch. It doesn't let ready up. Well, it's okay. You shouldn't have to, because it should automatically force you into Aiden. If you just stick with it for the next minute, it should let you go.
That just lets the tension build up there. Fair play to you, and that really puts the pressure on Josh McNabb and Cameron Evans here. I tell you what, it's you've got Josh McNabb here on the outside here, of course, crucially as they go into Redgate. So if Cameron can get a good and clean getaway, then the stage is set for a great scrap between the pair of them.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Apparently, I should join the qualification party chats. Right, okay. I get the feeling that would not be safe for broadcast. Ian Wilson has had this glitch before. It's annoying, but he'll stick with it to see if it. I think what will likely happen, buddy, is regardless, it punts you into the race if you don't ready up. It's better than just sort of quitting anyway. So fingers crossed. Let's see. 10 seconds left to go. What are you thinking, Andy? What are we going to expect in this first race between these two?
I'm expecting absolute drama in this opening lap, David. This you couldn't write this just how close these two are. And here we go. Hold on to your seats, folks, because this is going to be a cracker.
Confirmation: Ian Wilson is not joining us for the final race. We absolutely gutted for that one. Away we go. Stunning start for Josh McNabb. It's a huge start. Has he jumped it there? He's going to go across. Oh, there's contact already between. And he's done it! Josh McNabb straight into the lead already. That is unbelievable stuff there. Angus Scrivener round the outside of turn 1 there. And that is a huge moment there for the championship. That is a potentially championship defining moment there, because we've got Angus Scrivener on the outside and Josh McNabb on the inside here. This is just absolutely bonkers right now.
And Angus Scrivener making a real nuisance of himself here right on the rear of Cameron Evans' car, and that's not what Cameron wants at all. He wants to be focusing on that car in front and trying to get that first place back. Angus Scrivener's having a little look up the inside there. I think he's thought better of it into McLean's there. He's going to maybe try on the back straight if he can get a good exit from Coppice, but not a good start for Cameron Evans at all. But Josh McNabb, he's got over a half a second of a lead now, and he'll be looking to build on that.
Oh, look at the toe though that Angus Scrivener is getting from, or I thought he was getting from, but it's a slowdown penalty for Angus Scrivener and drops all the way down there, and that hands the baton off to John Duncan there. So it's John Duncan now that's going to have to try and catch up to the back there. And who's that off into pit lane? We've got somebody in there. That is Cormac Patterson. So Cormac Patterson in for a stop-go penalty after that new powertrain has obviously failed. That's what's happened there.
Yes, the FIA have had a wee look at that one and deemed it illegal.
It's not homologated. Right, that releases Cameron Evans to catch up to the back of Josh McNabb, and I don't know. This is a whole new chapter to the story.
No, it is. Josh McNabb will be delighted, to say the least, with that start. It was an absolutely stunning getaway, and I dare say it maybe caught Cameron off guard, because he wasn't expecting him just to get away so cleanly. But it was Angus Scrivener who was right in there as well, and I think that crucially allowed Josh just to build a little bit of a buffer between him and the rest of the chasing pack. But let's see if Cameron can close the gap here. I've just seen Josh trying to break the toe, weaving down the straight. He's entitled to do that as they make their way through chicane. Just over half a second, splitting this pair with a little over 7 minutes left to go.
Yeah, he's starting to stretch that out now to 0.6 of a second. I tell you what, you want a drama? Well, you've certainly got it here in absolute bucket loads. 7 minutes to go in this race, and Josh McNabb now really trying to break that gap from Cameron Evans in second place. This is a straight out dogfight for the championship, and just trying to figure out how this would leave championship standings right now if Josh McNabb took the 25 right now, and I'll get back to that one in just a second, Andy.
Yeah, as we follow Cameron Evans here, he's hot on the heels of Josh McNabb. Now it's just under 3 seconds. It splits the pair of them as they make their way round McCain's here, and it's into Coppice. This is a tricky corner to get right. It's a blind apex on the right hand side. Josh McNabb, he's got that car dialed in nicely. Cameron Evans follows suit, clips the apex nicely. They then let the car drift out onto the outside before bringing it back across. Josh McNabb doing that same thing again. Look at him weaving that black and red car left to right, and that's to avoid any possible slipstream for Cameron Evans. He is pretty close as they make their way through the chicane, but not close enough to try and get a move. Josh McNabb still in the lead of this race as he makes his way down the back straight. It's a 1:15.3 last time out. It's also a 1:15.3 from Cameron Evans. You could not split this pair as they make their way around Redgate. And it's, I tell you what, Cameron Evans, he's not going to give up lightly. He's still looking, he's still pushing as they make their way around the Crane of Curves and into the Old Hairpin. The Old Hairpin is that part of the track. It's so difficult to get right. You can easily outbrake yourself there and run wide because that curb on the outside isn't very forgiving either. You've got to be cautious. Cameron taking a little bit extra curb there on the way out, and that's perhaps cost him because look at that gap now. It's back up to half a second between him and Josh McNabb, our race leader. Around McLean's again into Coppice, and David, it looks like Josh McNabb is managing to hold on to the lead of this race.
Josh is looking really happy out there. Now, the reason I'm giggling away to myself is Andrew Gilman, another team radio message to Cormac Patterson. We're under investigation for our dodgy air intake. Love it. Big shout out to John Duncan. We've not really had a chance to mention him, but third place for him, 3.8 seconds behind the leaders, but another 6 seconds ahead of this battle, led by James Black. So yeah, cracking stuff. Yep. Good race from John Duncan so far in the podium places. He can just focus on that clear road he's got in front of him because Cameron Evans and Josh McNabb, they've pulled off into the sunset gap, a good gap of 4 seconds between them and John Duncan. Cameron's still looking here to push and put Josh under pressure. Again, it's a neater exit this time round the Old Hairpin for Cameron Evans. Look at both of them taking a lot of that curb on the inside. Again, that's a pretty unforgiving curb there. Here we go now into McLean's. Looks like Cameron was a little bit later on the brakes. Now into Coppice. Josh is almost just closing the door ever so slightly there. I thought not quite got the car right on the left hand side of the track. Still a decent gap. Look at Josh McNabb there. He's breaking that toe, weaving left to right. Cameron's following suit. He wants to try and get as much slipstream as possible. I did wonder if that was the case, but it looks like he's managing to get away with it because Cameron, he is following suit, but that gap is still floating anywhere between 3 and 5/10 of a second. Amazing stuff. It's now up to 6/10 of a second here. We're going towards Redgate, and 6 laps we've done already. 3.5 minutes left to go. This is an absolute stormer of a race that we've got going on. We will go and very briefly have a little look at some of the other action going on as well. We've got James Black, as I said, in front of that group. That's Stephen Bramwell and John Glover that have got anything. Really just nothing given between the two of them, or the three of them right now, because that's Stephen Bramwell trying to fight off John Glover right now. But the gap between your race leaders now still just at 4/10 of a second. Josh looks really smooth, but Cameron, I wonder how long that car can hold up being pushed that hard. Yeah, two very different driving styles between the pair of them, and it's interesting just how wide they are taking Redgate, and again that's maximising speed on entry, and they can then take that momentum through the Crane of Curves and then into the Old Hairpin. Josh McNabb a little bit under pressure now at the chicane, didn't quite get that car hooked up. That gives Cameron a chance as they move into Redgate. Side by side then as they come down, just 2 minutes left to go, and it's going to be Josh McNabb with around the outside. That is Cameron Evans. He's been hung out to dry by Josh McNabb. Josh manages to get off and keep the accelerator pinned, and that puts the gap back now to 5/10 of a second, and a breath of fresh air for Josh McNabb right now. Yeah, definitely. That was it was certainly close racing there, but
Josh has defended his position firmly. Cameron's still hanging on in there. There's still a little bit of time, just over a minute or so left in this session, so they'll go round perhaps once more after this lap, and that will still give Cameron a chance to perhaps just send it and go for a last lap lunge to try and secure victory in this final race here this evening.
Well, the points would look like this. If this is the way that the positions stand, Cameron Evans would be your new championship leader, with Josh McNabb in second place, 1 point ahead of Tony Logie, and 6 points would be the difference between Cameron Evans and Josh McNabb. So 6 points between them two, and 7 points between 3 cars going into your final round. I've got to be honest, I have not been so excited for a very long time.
No, absolutely, and I think Cameron Evans seems to be just a little bit quicker through the chicane as well, David. I'm just watching him there last time round. He seems to just gets the car hooked up nicely, and that's given him a nice run into the back straight and thereafter into Redgate. But Josh McNabb, it doesn't. He won't be caring. It's all about track position, because it's now around half a second splitting the pair as they make their way into the old hairpin for the final time in this race.
Yeah, and as you say, this is the last lap of the race. It's been a fantastic little battle between Josh McNabb and Cameron Evans. It's been very, very respectful from the two of them. I don't think that's through choice. I think if they had to, they would happily punch each other in the face to get what they wanted. I think that's the sheer determination that these two young drivers have got right now. But 0.3 of a second, and we've just got one corner left to go, and it looks like Cameron's going to try and have the momentum here, but it's going to have to be done by the chicane, because it's all about this final corner in towards the chicane for the final time. Then Josh McNabb comes out. It's a great exit from Cameron Evans, but it's not going to be enough, because that gap is growing, and it's a second race win on the bounce for Josh McNabb. Second place then goes to Cameron Evans. Third place goes to John Duncan. Comes across the line now. Brilliant race for him. Fourth place, and what an effort on the controller tonight for James Black. Fifth place for Stephen Bramwell. Sixth place for John Glover. Seventh place for Cormac Patterson, and eighth place for Angus Scrivener. So wow, that was an amazing race there, and some massive championship implications tonight.
Definitely, and Cameron Evans, he pushed Josh McNabb all the way there, and look at that, 0.3 of a second splitting the pair of them by the end of it. That was a great race there. And Josh McNabb, he'll be delighted. 2 wins on the bounce, and that really puts him in the driving seat here for this Xbox Championship.
So confirmation then, the rough maths that we've got going on at the moment put Cameron Evans as your new championship leader on 190 points from Josh McNabb in second place, 184 points, just 1 point ahead of Tony Logie, who was looking so strong through the remainder of the championship. We have got one more race left to go this season, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to be in a couple of weeks' time for Bathurst, Mount Panorama, and that is going to be something else.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, before we even get to that final, of course, these drivers have all got to qualify one more time, and that is when the stakes have never been higher. In order to get to that final, you've got to make your way through the qualifiers first and foremost. So don't be surprised to see some really tight racing in those events either. But you know, credit to Josh and Cameron. There's some fantastic racing between the pair of them.
Wow, right, that is us for tonight then, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. This has been round 7, the finals of Donington Park for the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. I've been David Christie, joined once again in the virtual commentary box by Andy Alston. Andy, thank you so much for your company tonight. Did you enjoy that?
No, a pleasure. Thank you very much. It was. I've been looking forward to that event for a while, because I always thought the Donington finale would be a cracker, and it certainly lived up to expectations. Some brilliant racing across both of the platforms that we've got, and some great action, and I certainly enjoyed that one.
Excellent, good stuff. Well, thank you very much for that. We are done for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we go off for a little bit of a break. We are back in 2 weeks' time. I think that is. I'm just checking that now. 3 weeks' time, actually. We are back on the 16th of September for the qualifiers for the Ginetta G40 GT5 at Bathurst Mount Panorama. And then it is the finals as well. So that is going to be an amazing, amazing season finale. Really, really looking forward to it. And yeah, going to be an awesome one. For the meantime, have a wonderful, wonderful night, everyone. And on behalf of myself and Andy, take care, and we'll see you next time.